Welcome back, Egyptology lovers. This is my final video for my fifth and final sculpture that I created for an Egyptian style. This is the goddess Wadjet, which is one of the two protectresses of Egypt on the titles of the pharaohs, the upper and she is the lower protectress of Egypt. And she is upon the basket, so for protection. So generally the basket would represent the word all. So all protection from Wadjet. So this serpent has a very simple, delicate look. It comes from the Metropolitan Museum. Obviously, it comes from Egypt, but that's where it's located. This is made of the original is made of limestone from the Ptolemaic period, so a late time during the Egyptian history, about 400 BCE to 50 AD. So that's the general length of the Ptolemaic period. And this particular one I found was very nice to carve. With any Egyptian art, as I say, when you start carving, you need to first carve the empty space around and decide on the depth. For this piece, it needed some depth because the neb took a lot of the space, and so did the initial wrapping of the body of the cobra. You could see here it's quite thick, the piece, probably almost an inch thick as well, from the previous ones as well. So here, not much detail was required. The basket was pretty simply appears quite simple and plain. Usually they had decorated them with squares, like a plaid motif. But for this one, it was plain. The leg of the cobra was very important. The body, how it wraps itself around itself like that. You can see that nice coming down and then coming over like this and then going out like that. So that's something that was done. So you can see it comes over here like that and like that. So there you go. That's the body of the cobra. Now, the biggest detail is the body. You can see that nice cobra design. Everything in Egyptian art, when you carve it, you have to focus on detail. You have to pay attention to detail. That's the most important. If you kept it simple and plain, it would look Egyptian, but it wouldn't be considered Egyptian. It just doesn't have that look to it. But for this one, the detail from the body, the very fine appearance right over here, the very thin, less than a millimeter thick, from the recess of the body, and then even the style over here, which kind of were considered eyes when the cobra stood up. And you would have that nice little carving as well right there with the holes punched in order to give it more of a nice finished detail. And the same on the head with that nice sharp dagger-like design on the top of the head. And of course the face and the mouth, that nice deep recess for the cobra's face and its mouth as well, with no tongue protruding. And when you're carving, you have to keep it roundular, nice and round around the areas and very delicate to the bust itself from the empty space on. Not to come out so thick and squarish, but it has to have that nice circular formed look to it. And this particular bust, like anything Egyptian, really relied on light when they carved. So when they did their raised reliefs and this faced the light in the day or whichever direction, you can get more of a prominent look of the art itself. So there you go. That's another style of the Egyptian art. Light was into consideration. Of course, the detail and the delicacy and refined art. Egyptian art was never so fluid like romantic art. It was very classical. It held on to its classics. That's why it doesn't matter which period you see Egyptian art, from the Old Kingdom all the way down to the New Kingdom and even the late period. Egyptian art looked the same. You know it's Egyptian because it has that look. It didn't change much, maybe a little bit during the Middle Kingdom, during the Akhenaten, Amarna period, but after that went right back to its nice and stolid and confined and restrained appearance. That's the beauty of Egyptian art. So there you go. The Wadjet, I will add the link to the Metropolitan Museum. You can go have a look at the details for the cobra itself. Thank you very much for watching and for enjoying these sculpture designs that I made. Thank you again, and enjoy and take care.